Hello friends, in this video we're going to build a form from scratch like this. Okay, so this is a form here. So there is very important features here in this form, which is multiple level dependent dropdowns. So this is the weakness of Google Form. I think in Google Form it is very difficult to do things like this. So I'm going to do this line by line. I'm going to show you how to code a project like this, okay? So basically we have three dropdowns, three levels of multiple dropdowns, and we have a file uploader here for pictures or images, and I'm going to submit the data to our Google Form, okay? So this is about today's video. So let's get into it. Here I have a blank folder, blank project folder. I'm going to create a spreadsheet file first. And the data will be saved to this spreadsheet, okay? Let's rename this file first. Live coding 004, form with multiple dependent dropdown. So I think I did I uploaded some videos about this kind of problems, but I never show you how to do it line by line, okay? So in this video I'm going to show you how to do it. Create a new script project and also rename it Live Coding 004. So first we need to know what kind of script I'm going to build. And so first, this is a web application, okay? And for web application, we need to have a do-get function, right? So let's build this function first. This could be a very simple one. So I'm going to return HTML content. So we are using HTML service API to create the HTML output from a file. So this time I'm going to use a file called index.html, so which is not created. And I'm going to set a title for this application. So I'm going to have an app name. And let's define this app name here. Let's say live coding 004 form demo, or form with multiple dependent dropdowns. Okay, so this is to host this as a web application, okay? And then we need to create this file first. So to create this file, this time it's HTML file, okay? Index.html. And for now, let's just add a h1 here. So we can see it's demo form. And let's deploy this as a web application. So let's say first release. And anyone should have access to see it. Okay. Okay, so we now have the URL to our application. So this one is a production URL. Okay, so we'd like to get the test URL for this demo. So let's copy this URL and open it in the browser. This is the title and the app name. And let's close this pop-up. And this is the demo form. This is the H1 from our index HTML. Okay. So for applications like this, we usually need to have some backend stuff and front-end stuff. Okay, so here we are doing something at the backend to handle the data, to host the service for end users, right? And for the front end, we need to build the form itself, okay? And we're building the form in this index HTML file, okay? So let's try to create the form. I'm not sure if you remember our form. I'm going to have some, so we're going to have a drop-down called select, single select, 3 of them, right? So for the first one, let's say this is select for college, and the second one, let's say we're going to name it for department, and the last one, the third one, let's say we're going to use it for teachers, okay? And now we have a college department teacher, and we also have a file uploader. So here we have a file input. This is maybe say profile, okay? Profile image. Let's make it short for profile. And last one is a button, right? Submit button. So this is the form content we're going to build here. So let's first create a form first. Create a form. And let's start building the form. Okay. So the first element here, we're going to have select. So it's going to be a select. Give it a name, college, and give it an ID, also the college. And let's close this select. And add the item, add option here. So we can choose from. The default one is select college. Let's give it a value of empty and disable it. So this cannot be selected. This can only be selected at once. Okay. And add a placeholder as a value here, maybe college A. So let's change the caption here, college A. So we now have a select in this form created. So if I try to reload this page, right, we have a form A here, but I'd like to add a label for this select. Label name, not label name, the caption here, let's say college, and give it a for attribute college, and wrap them in a div. So this is a single element here. So let's try to make a copy of this one, and let's create for department. So department, and replace this name and ID, and this one just copy and paste. Okay, So this is for the department, and the last one is the teacher. Okay, let's do some copy paste here very quickly. And the department, let's say for teacher, selected teacher. Okay, so 3 drop-downs and file uploader. So this one is a little bit different. So make a copy of this structure and get rid of this select. I'm going to use a file input here. So which is input element and the type is file. So we can upload files here and give it an ID of profile and give it a name of profile. And for this form, let's change it to profile as well. So this is for profile image. Let's say upload a profile image. And the last item here is the submit button. Okay, for this button, we don't need to have a label. So we just change this type to submit. And we don't need to have an ID and name here. So let's give it a value, submit. So this value we're going to be the caption for the button, submit button. Okay, so let's refresh this page again. So college, department, teacher, and finally upload, file uploader, and submit. Okay, now we have the form. So this is right now is very ugly. Okay, so there is no style right now. Okay, so it's ugly here, but it's not an issue. So let's try to do a submit here. Select the image and submit. So if I click on that, as you can see here, something very weird happened here. So that's first issue we need to solve here. Okay, so you have multiple ways to handle issues like this. I'm going to show you the easiest way here right now. Okay, so here we have a form here, and in this form we have an attribute called action. So this action accepts URL to handle the form request. Okay, so this URL we're going to use this one, this development one, for now, and another attribute here which is called method, and I'm going to use a post method here. All right. So we add the action URL and we add a method called post here. And we need to do something at the backend to handle this post request. Okay. And at our backend, we handle the, okay, handle, let's say, handle post request. So here, this function is handle the get request. Okay, so every time somebody visit your website, that is a get request. Okay, so that's why this function is called. But in this form, okay, we click on this button, that is post, because we specify the method here for this form. So we click on that button. A post method, a post request is sent to this URL, okay? And at the backend, we can handle this post request. So we have another function, so you can guess. It's called do post, of course. So this is a special function just like this one. The difference is this function is designed to handle the post request, okay? It takes parameters here. So this is basically is short for event object. Okay, we usually use a E here for event. So in this event, we can get the post data from the post. Okay, so let's say const post data equal to E dot parameter, and let's console.log and this post data, and let's return a message to the end users. So here we also can return HTML content to the end user. Let's say we have to create something like let's say HTML, and set a title. Let's say success. And this HTML is not defined yet, so let's define it. Const. So this is the data you'd like to send back to the users. Okay. So right now I'd like to use this data, this post data. So let's just use JSON string find this data. Okay. I just send back this. Let's add it to a pre-tag. So you will see, let's add a H1 here and success BR. So you will see, so this is used to handle the post data right now. Okay, so let's check it right now. So reload this page. Select to the image and submit. As you can see right now we have a success message, and we get the data from the form, profile, department, college, and teacher. So we can save this data to our spreadsheet. Okay, right now there is no data here, so let's rename this as a responses, and let's save it to the spreadsheet. Save to spreadsheet, and const worksheet equal to spreadsheet app.getActive and get sheet by name. The name is responses, and append row. Let's just append row. So the data we're going to use post data dot a college, right? And the department and the teacher, and the post data profile. Okay, I think that's all. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 items here. So let's try to run some function here, because we just added a new API here, so we need to complete the authorization. Okay. Allow. Okay, so it's done here, and let's reload this page, and let's try to do another submission here, so we can see the data here. Let's select the college, department, teacher, select the image, and submit. Append row of null. Okay, I think responses. I think the name is wrong. Let's responses. Okay. So let's refresh. If I click on this refresh button, it's going to do this post action again. Okay. So this time I got a success, and I have the data, college A, department A, teacher A, and the name of the image. Okay. So that means that the basic structure of our form is configured successfully. And you may already notice that we have some issues in this form. So the first issue, as you can see here, for the image, we only get the name. So that's something we would like to solve here right now. And another issue is the drop-downs. They only have one, so have one options, and they're not dynamic. Okay, they're not dependent to each other. So two issues to fix. So first one, let's fix the dependent drop-down. Okay, so to fix that issue, we need to add a script. So right now it's an issue, but we need to fix this issue with a script file here. So I think I'd like to keep this file separate. Okay, so let's create a new file called JS. Sorry, I should create an HTML file and JS. As you can see, it's weird. JS and with HTML. Okay, so that's the correct way to do it. I'd like to add a script tag here. So all my JavaScript are going to be added here for the front end. Okay, so let's just add a console log here. Console.log. This is from front end. And let's link this to the index file. So to do that, we can add a function to link the file. Okay, so let's link the HTML file to another one. So this is a function to do. So let's call it function link. We need to have a file name here. And this function is going to return the content of this file. Okay, so HTML service, create content, create HTML output from the name. So we're going to take the file name, and we're going to get the content. So this function, we're going to get the content from the file. So any file name we passed here. So let's go back to our index. So here we'd like to link the JavaScript file, link the JavaScript. So link it here. To link it, we have a very special tag here. Okay, so this is I have to say this is only we can only use this in Google Apps Script. Okay, so this is a special design for Google Apps Script, and we can call a function here. Include link, and the file name, which is js.html. Okay, we link it like this, and if I refresh this page again, and let's open the developed tool, go to console. Okay, something wrong here. I think I did something wrong. I'm not sure if this is correct. Let's check. So if you do a Google search for app script, web app best practice, Google provided us some sample code. I'm not sure if I remember this correctly. So link. Okay, so here in this documentation here, best practice for web application, not this one, I think. HTML service, this one. Okay, so I think this is the correct one. So here, as you can see, this is the demo code provided by Google, and we have the backend code here to get a function, and this function is called include. So basically the same function I did. I just rename it to the link. Okay, and we have this HTML file, and that's weird. This is correct way to do it. And this as you can see here, this function is going to insert or link the JavaScript file into this position, and this is going to link this style file into this position. Okay, so let's just make a copy of this. I think I did it correct, but I don't know why it's not working. So let's just replace this link and rename this as JS. Let's reload this page, and I'm not sure if this time it's working. Okay, it's not working here. That's weird, I have to say. Okay, I think I know what's the issue. We cannot use this create HTML output from file here. Okay, we need to use another function. Create HTML template from file. I'm going to call this evaluate. So this evaluate function, we're going to execute this link function. Okay. So let me show you. I think this time should work, and we should not see this tag there anymore. And we get the content here. This is from front end. This is from front end. Okay, this is the log we added here, right? And we can start work on this file and fix the drop-down issue. Okay, so first we need to define. We need to build the links to form element. So we need to have basically to define some variables so we can use it easier. So let's const select. So the first selector is college, right? So let's name it select college, and this we're going to use a document API to get elements by ID. So if you remember, for every element we add an ID for them, so department, so we can find this item, okay, by ID. Okay, document get element by ID. So here the ID is college, and make a copy of this 2 times, and we have a select called department, and another one is teacher. So this is department, and this one is teacher. So 3, and so right now we just focus on the three items here because we are trying to fix the drop-down issues. Okay, and we need to prepare our data. Okay, so right now we don't have any data for them, and let's say defined and college, let's say drop-down data set. Let's const, because this is for college, so I'd like to name this as colleges. So this is going to be an object. So for this college, we're going to have some department in this college. Okay, so for each department we're going to have a name, like let's say we have in this college we have some department called engineering. Okay, so this engineering is a department, and this engineering is another object. And under this engineering, we're going to have some, okay, engineering going to have some data called teachers, right? So I think I don't need to have because I think so first one college, this is the college. Okay, another. Oh, sorry, this engineering is not the department, is the college. Okay, the college. So college, engineering college, and under this engineering college, we're going to have some department. So let's say we have a software engineering department, right? Things like that. And in this department, we're going to have a list of teachers. So let's say Abby as a teacher, and Bob as a teacher, and Chris as a teacher. So for this software engineering, and then we can add another department for engineering, like electronic engineering. And let's say we have some teachers here. We have Daniel, and we have F. Frank. Okay, I don't know which name should be picked. What next? A, B, C, D. Okay, I think I missed Ella. Okay, so right now we have only one college, right? And under this college we have two departments and teachers in department. So this is the first college. Let's do another college. We can make a copy of this structure, and for this another college, let's say language, and let's say English. Let's give some name here. FG, so G for Gary, and the H for Helen, I for Eve, and another here, English, and maybe Japanese. Japanese. So for Japanese, let's say we have Honda. Japanese name, not sure. Henry. Okay, maybe. Okay, Fuji. Okay, Fuji is a mountain. All right. So right now, let's say we have the data like this. So this is the first level, which is your college. Okay, and this is second level, which is your software. Which is your department, and the last level is the teacher. Okay, so if you have more levels, so things will be different, a little bit different. So let's say we have another level. You need to change this array to an object. Maybe let's say we have so this is department, right? So maybe we have another level. So under this department we have something else called, I don't know, others. And this is the items, right? In this others, and you have another level. So this is other is the level 4. Okay, so as you can see, engineering, this is the college level, and go to the department with the second level, and this other is the third level, and this data in this others is the fourth level. Okay, so that's how you structure your data. So this right now, this is our colleges. Okay, and you can add more colleges here in this object. Okay, so now the data is ready and the link to the element is ready. So we can do something here. So first of all, we like to define a function to do what? To update the select options, right? Because right now there are just one element in that select, right? So we need to update them with a function. So let's say we have a function to update select options, and this function takes two parameters. First one is the select itself, and the second one is options. And maybe let's add another parameters here called placeholder. So this is going to be the default placeholder message. So let's say select one item. So by default, okay. So to update the select, we have multiple ways to do that. So let's try to use easiest way, I have to say. So we can create the content for these options. Okay, so these options could be array. Okay, so let's say if these options are names of teachers, that array. So if these options are colleges, so which is an object, right? So it either be an array or object. So let's try to check if array is array. So if this option is array, we don't need to do anything. So if it's not an array, that means this is object, right? If this is object, we like to get the keys of this object because we're using this as the name, as a value, okay, to display it for the front-end users, right? We like to get the name. So we're going to reset the options. So I'm going to object.keys. So I'm going to grab the keys from this option. Okay, so this step only for object. Okay, so we got the options, and then we need to create all of these options. So let's do a function. Let's do a variable called HTML options. So right now it's empty. Let's add the content here. So it's going to be an option HTML content. And here, for the first one, I'd like to place the default, okay, the placeholder here. So as the first element, as the first option, so which is disabled, right? And select it. So this is the first one. And I'm going to loop through all of these options. So for each option, and I'm going to append the options to these HTML options. Okay, and let's copy this line. And here the value will be the option, right? And we don't need to disable it, and let's put the option here. Okay, so now this is the HTML option content, and we're going to set the inner HTML to this HTML options. Okay, so this is a function to update the select options. So let's use this function here. So first we need to update this select college, right? So we can call this function update select options, and the first element, which is the select, so we update the college, right? And the options, which is the colleges, right? Because the colleges will be the items for this select college. And for the placeholder, let's change it to select college. Okay, so let's try to reload this page. I hope this. I hope I didn't do anything wrong. Okay, so as you can see here, I have engineering and the language. Engineering language, we have two. But as you can see here, we have a department A, which is a default value for department and teacher. So the department and teacher, they're not updated. Even I select engineering, and here, no change. So the next step, we'd like to build the actions there. Okay, so if we do something change, if we change something for the college, that means we need to update the department, right, accordingly. So that's something we need to do. So we need to add an event to this college select. So college, the select college, let's add an event listener So this event listener is called change. So every time we do some change on this select college, we're going to do something here. All right, we're going to do something here. So here we take a callback function. Okay, so here we need to update the select option for the department, right? Because every time we changed college, we needed to update the select the department. And for the options for this department, which is the colleges. So this is the college. And we pass the value of the college, and we're going to get this object, right? So if the user select engineering, the department object will be this one. If they select language, and then the options for the department will be this object. So here, colleges, and we can access the value of the college. So select college.value. So this will be the college name. Let's say const key of college, key of college equal to. So let's make it clear for you. And this is the key of college, right? And we, in this data set, we use this key, we can access the object for the department. So for engineering, we have this data set, and we can set this to the department select. I'm going to set a placeholder for select department. Okay, so let's try it now. So I select engineering, and as you can see, software engineering and electronic engineering, electronic. And if I select the language, and you can see Japanese and English. So that means this is working for this part. And then we have another relationship between the department and the teacher. So we can do it, we can copy the same code here. And let's add an event to the select department. So every time a department is changed, we need to update the options for the teachers, right? So key of department, which is key of department, which, okay. So this is the key of the college and the key of department. So this is the key of department, which will going to be select department value. Okay, so this is the key of college and this is the key of department. And we can access the teachers list by going to the college object and the key of college and the key of department. So this is the third level of the data. And here we'll select teacher. Okay, update options, select department. Here we need to update the select of teacher, right? And let's refresh. Okay, so let's try to do engineering, software engineering. Okay, we got the name, right? So if I change it to electronic, I got another set of names. So that means this is now working fine, I have to say. So we can do some update here. We can get rid of this test option here. Let's just remove it and remove this one. We don't need them because the script, we're going to update them. Where is the delete? Okay. So let's refresh. This is no good, but because there is no content, so let's try to do something. Let's try to submit. I hope I can get them in the spreadsheet. No? Okay. As you can see here, so here is the college and the department, teacher, and profile, right? So this is the data we get from the form. So right now I'd like to say the multiple level dependent drop-down. The first problem is solved, right? So let's handle the image. Okay, so let's go back to the script file. So to handle the image, first we need to get a reference to the input profile document, get element by ID, which is profile. Okay, so this is a profile. So maybe I'd like to add an image so you can see it. So enter this. Let's add an image tag here. Profile image. Give it the ID of preview. So this is going to preview the, let's say, preview the image you select. Okay, so preview and give it a width of 300 and a height of 300. Okay, let's reload. So right now there is no image here because we didn't pass any image here. Okay, so let's try to fix this issue. Just say handle file uploader. So here I have a relationship. I have built the add this profile to this variable input profile, and I have an image called preview. Get file by ID preview. Okay, so these two items we're going to use to handle our file uploader. So we need to add event listener to the file input. Okay, so add event listener. Also is a change event. So every time we select a new file or we change the new file, this function will going to be called. So here we have a callback function. So here we can access some data. So let's just console log the data so you can see it. We can access the files object. Okay, so input file. Since this is a file input, we're going to have called properties called files. So let's check. Reload the page. Let's select a picture. So in the log here, as you can see, I have one element, and which is the file we just selected. Okay, so that means this here the code is working fine, and we need to read the data from this file. So to do that, we need to use the file reader API. Okay, file reader API. So let's just define one. So let's say reader, which is short for file reader. Going to create a new constant instance for this file reader. Okay, so this is going to read the file. The file we are going to be, let's check if any file is selected. So if let's const file equal to, so file profile, input profile files, the first one. Okay, so if there is any file there, if there is no file, then it means we don't need to keep going on this code, so we can return. All right, so we just exit this function if there is no file. So if we have file, we can read this file with this file reader API. So we just not read, since it's called read as. All right, I don't remember the function. So file reader read as data URL, I think. So read as data URL, and I'm going to pass this file. Okay, and the reader, we're going to add an event listener here, which is called load. So this event is when this file is the reading of the file is done, and this function, this event is going to be triggered. And here we're going to take another callback, and we can get the content. So let's just console log the data reader result. Okay, let's try to reload the page and test this function again. I think it's called yes, read data as read as data URL. Okay, so you can read the details in this document. Okay, so let's try to select a picture. So in the log, as you can see here, I got the content of the image, the data of the image. Okay, so we can assign this content to this result to the preview image element. So image preview source. So this time we should have an image here for the preview. Right? So I change a different image so you can see it. Which one? Let's say choose this one. No change. Weird. It's not caught. Don't know why the image is not changed. Okay, seems like it's working. Okay, so here we only have the data at the front end, but we need to add this data to the form. Okay, in the form submission, so we can receive this data at the back end. So to do that, we also have multiple ways, but I'd like to show you one of them. So we can add another input here. So just make a copy of this input. And this is not a file input. And for the name, let's say profile data. Let's rename it profile data or image data, whatever. Let's say is a data. For the ID, let's say data. And we're going to like to make it hidden. Make it not visible. Okay, so you cannot see it. We only need this for the data. Okay, we're going to bind the data to this input. Okay, so let's go back to the JavaScript, and we also can get. Let's just reference this input data, ID of data, and we can assign the data value to the reader.result. Okay, so in this way we're going to so let me show you. Reload. Select college, department, name, choose an image. Let's submit. So let me show you the data. Okay, you see we now have a data property in the object, and this is the data we got from, this is the image data, okay, which is encoded, okay, which is encoded, and we need to decode this data, and with this data we can create a file, create an image on our Google Drive. So let's do this at the backend. Let's create a function to create an image. So let's do it here. Create a file on Google Drive. So function create file. So this function is going to take a data, and let's get the folder. So let's say we're going to have a folder here for the files, okay. Const, let's do const files folder name files or images. So folder equal to spreadsheet.getActive get file by get ID. So this is the ID of current spreadsheet, and let's get the parent folder, current folder, okay. So const folder equal to, or current folder equal to drive app.get file by ID, which is the ID, and the const folder, which is the image folder, okay. Let's check if the folder exists or not. So current folder, get folders by name, get parent folder, then next. I'm sorry, I should add it here. So get a parent folder and next. So this is the parent folder, and the current folder, get folders by name. The name will be this name. So if folders has next, that means the folder is found, okay. Let's let folder equal to null, and the folder equal to folders next. And if it's not found, I'm going to create a new folder, okay. So folder dot equal to current folder dot insert, also insert create folder, and pass the name in this function. I'm going to create a new folder if the folder is not found. So folder, and now we have the folder, find the folder, okay. So if we find the folder, we can create the file in this folder, right? So create a file, const file equal to, so in this create file function, I'm going to take a blob, file blob. So this blob is not defined. I'm going to create this file blob, const blob with utility service new blob, and we're going to take the data. Okay, this is the data, right? But this, we cannot use this data directly. So let's return this file first. So this data, because they're encoded, so if you remember, this data is encoded. So we need to decode the data, all right? So this, after this base 64, this is the real data for the image, and here is the data type, okay? Is a file type. So we need to get this type and the actual data, okay? We first need to split the data with this semicolon base 64 and a comma, okay? So we try to copy this, and let's say const type and data, maybe file data and the file type. So equal to data.split. Split them with this, right? And before this is the file type, and after this is the file data. And we also need to get rid of this part, which is five digits, right? So we can slice. So we slice it from, if we slice it from 0, I think it's 4. Okay, I cannot, let's try it here. I don't remember. So slice 4. Okay, it's 5. I'm sorry. So if I slice it from 5, I get rid of this data and I got the type, right? So it's 5. I cannot count here. So we got the file type and get file data. We can create this blob with data, and then we can pass the content type, okay, which is the file type. But we have one more step. We need to decode this data, okay. So let's const decoded data, decoded file data, which is we're going to use the utility decode. There is no decode base, okay. I'm going to use decode and decode this file data because they are encoded with base 64, and now we need to decode it, and this is decoded data, and we need to use this decoded file data to create our new file. And after we got this blob, I'm going to create this file with this blob, and I'm going to return this file. Okay, so this is a function to create our new file. So where should we call this function? Yes, you can call it here, right? And then maybe one more thing is the name of this file. Okay, so let's pass a name here, because in this data we don't have any name information, so we add a name here. Let's just set name with name. Okay, so we have a name, we have data type, we have the data, and the file is created in a folder, and let's create it here. So before we save the data to the spreadsheet, we create the file, a const, let's say image equal to create a file, and then we're going to take some data, which is a post data dot data, and the name will be post data dot profile. Okay, so this is the image we created on our Google Drive, and we can save this image URL and replace it. Let's say image.get URL. So after the profile name, we have a URL to this profile image, okay, to append the data, and here we can say thanks for your submission. So here you can do something different. So let's say if we'd like to add some unique identifier for your response, you can add a new ID. Let's say we add a new UUID. So let's say UUID here, const UUID equal to utility dot get UUID. So this is going to create a UUID for us, and then we can pass the UUID here, and you can show the end user the ID. Okay. So let me show you one more time. I hope I didn't do anything wrong here, so we can have a success video, okay, because I don't want to cut any part of this video right now. So let's select college department, and let's select image. Let's try this one. Let's try to submit. Okay. Because we're adding some new APIs, so I need to do the authorization. So let's try to run this link function to complete the authorization process. So now it's done, and bad value code A. Okay, it's not a big deal, because let's try to reload. So in this reload, we're going to do this submit again. Okay, if I see this success, that means and this is the UUID, right? And if I check the responses, and I got the ID here, I should reorganize the header. So this is the UUID, and this is the profile image link. Okay, and let's get rid of these two lines. Okay, so seems like it's working fine right now. I don't know how long this video we're going to be, but right now I think I need to stop here, and the form, the function, the core functionality of this this application, I think is done, and the only thing left here, I think, is the front end stuff, is the style, because there is no any style. This is default style for the HTML. I didn't reply any CSS to this application for now. I'm not sure, so maybe I need to release another video to do that, but that's not the hardest part, and you also can try it yourself. Okay, so right now the function is working, so that's the most important thing here, right? Okay, so I'm going to end this video because I think it's too long. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. See you next time.